Hey everybody, Brian Von VA here, back at it again with another set of D&D stories. Today, we're going to be discussing what is the meanest thing that you've ever done to your players. For me, it was a fight with an adult red dragon in his lair. On his first turn, the dragon breathed fire on the party and then dove beneath the lava. I thought the fight would go one of two ways. Either the party would shred it in a couple of turns, or the dragon would play it smart. Given that it was an adult dragon, I opt for the latter. On his second turn, he rose out of the lava, grabbed the XBE Sharpshooter Kobold Battlemaster, and then dove back beneath the lava using the rest of his multi-attack on the now submerged Battlemaster. The party stuck around for a few turns fighting the dragon's minions, but once it was clear that the dragon would only emerge when his breath weapon recharged, they retreated. One of the few times I've actually caused my party to run from a fight, especially since they are a Tier 3 party. The kobold's body was destroyed, it's in lava, so the only way to bring the character back was with a wish spell or true resurrection. Not horribly mean, but I thought it was a fun twist. To kick off session 1 of a new campaign, I had my players collaboratively create an NPC as an additional shared background element for everyone. Just a way to better tie the group together in addition to their backstories. They spent a good hour and a half thinking up details about this guy. They decided he owned the local tavern, his history, marriages, children, hobbies, former professions. They made up stories that he used to tell them, inside jokes, financial troubles, character flaws, a nickname for him, his signature quote-unquote drink at the tavern, everything. This was one of the most fleshed out NPCs ever. Then, once everyone was happy with the details, I started the story. Friends, we are gathered here today to mourn the untimely death of Bob, the NPC. They lost their minds and still haven't forgiven me. Yeah, I hope you brought him back. Door mimic. Really deep in the dungeon, there was also a doorknob mimic. You're evil. I counterspelled Revivify. Big Bad Evil Guy was a lich who'd spent years as a battle mage. His minions had told him about the party's abilities, and they'd even acquired the required gem from a merchant in a town he controlled. They'd already seen the monsters changing tactics as such, targeting the party's bard when more intelligent undead were about and such. To make it worse, the lich then raised the ranger's corpse, and the party had to put him down. I think they ended up losing 3 of their 5 members to that fight. One of my proudest moments as a DM. For a bit of background, my party was after a white dragon who they heard had an artifact they needed in its hoard. It was on top of a tall mountain that people say is almost impossible to climb and full of danger. They begin their climb with little issue. Their first day, they enter a cave to stay warm for the night. I have them all roll a d20 while they sleep. I tell them they're for generating random events, but they're actually wisdom saving throws. I have their modifiers behind my screen so I can add them. They all fail. The next day they wake up and start their climb. It's surprisingly easy. They tell me I don't need to hold back on them. Oh, bad idea. They have no trouble getting to the top in 2 days. Every night they repeat the saving throw. I tell them it's for random encounters. Some players are a little disappointed because they prepped for hardcore survival mountain climbing. I tell them the stories might have been exaggerated. Well, they find the white dragon. Turns out it's only a young white dragon and they beat it with minimum effort and take its hoard. Everything is good. They camp and sleep, rolling another round of secret saving throws, and finally they pass. It was a very high DC and a group saving throw, so half or more had to succeed. They wake up in the cave they slept in on the first night with various levels of exhaustion, one for every night they secretly failed the wisdom saving throw. They see a gross hag standing over them, and a fight begins. The entire mountain climb was a shared dream that a modified night hag put them in for the last 3 days/nights. After they fight, they rest for a day and begin the actual climb. The mountain and white dragon are much deadlier in the real world. TLDR. Party easily climbs Deadly Mountain and fights an easy-to-kill white dragon only to learn it was all a dream. We need to learn more about this. If you're listening in, I need more details immediately. We want this. I need this. This is awesome. I had them befriend a noble. That's already a bad idea. He invested in them, got their tavern funded, threw the first few parties there to get a buzz going. He had them babysit his mansion and children. He was a tutor to one of the PC's disabled brother. Their friendship blossomed over 6 out-of-game months of weekly sessions. Then the party soon learned this noble sacrificed the father of another PC, enthralled a ton of patrons, sacrificed hundreds of civilians in a recent refugee crisis, all at banquets held in the party's honor. Oh God, the group was devastated and wrecked emotionally. 4 months later, they discovered that he wasn't dead, but he had reformed in Avernus. I had never seen this group this organized and driven before. Oh my God, this is amazing. I once ran an ancient blue dragon who figured out that the easiest way to collect treasure and magic items was to let some dumbass adventurers do it for them. She had spies throughout the desert area she lived in. Whenever she caught wind of a group of adventurers being in the neighborhood, she would have her minions start a rumor. The rumor essentially told a variation of the story that an adult blue dragon with a huge horde was attacked by a rival dragon. And while it managed to fend off the attack, it is now severely wounded and weakened. She then had one of her minions approach the party, pretending to be a ranger, ultimately familiar with the territory. This ranger told the party, for a hefty price of course, that there was a secret entrance into the dragon's lair that was used by its minions. The party proceeded to enter the secret entrance, which turned out to be a long, perfectly straight tunnel leading to the lair. At this point, the party started to get suspicious, but they decided it was too late to turn back now and they would just be extra careful. They all rolled extremely well on stealth but failed to notice the alarm spell laid out in the tunnel. That spell going off was the trigger for the dragon to blast its lightning breath 120-foot line that is 10 foot wide into the tunnel, which, you guessed it, was exactly 10 foot wide. The result was the entire party of 7 severely hurt, one of them instantly unconscious. I described a large boulder falling out of the ceiling behind them. The boulder was actually just an illusion. The party desperately charged forward, hoping to kill the wounded dragon they saw at the end of the tunnel. The wizard cast Disintegrate at the dragon and hit, but the spell faded right through the illusion as the real, completely undamaged dragon dropped its invisibility and chomped up the wizard. The rest of the party, now down to 2 party members, are all heavily hurt and facing off against an ancient dragon at full health. Made the smart choice, by the way, and teleported out of there. From that day, my players have been terrified of blue and green dragons. They hardly bat an eye at the brutal white and red dragons, ho-ho, but as soon as they hear about a blue or green one, they turn tail and get out of there. During a dungeon delve in a gnomish weapons factory, I played elevator music, Bossa Nova, on repeat for the entire session. Please, I'm begging you, put elevator music in here, please. It wasn't the traps or dangerous encounters that traumatized my players. It was the Bossa Nova. And from then on, I was forbidden to use elevator music in sessions. A lot of people use that in their voice acting demos. Just a little Brian tip right there. It was purely accidental. New campaign with veteran-ish group of players who had been in games together before. Party was traveling from the starting city to another area and encountered a single orc in the woods. Nothing sus about that, right? They figured he was a scout and attacked. Hard fight, and there were some laughs about me throwing a leveled NPC at them as an unexpected challenge, coupled with some teasing about a fun way to give them some better gear. He had good gear on, by the way. They get to a small village a few miles away, and while checking out the market, a little girl's voice asked from the party, "Why do you have Papa's bow?" Oh God. Long story short, the orc was a retired adventurer who founded a home for war orphans out in the little peaceful town in the middle of nowhere and would regularly go out hunting to bring in meat for the kids he had taken under his protection. Purposefully mean thing. They murder hoboed a hero tending to orphans and now had to figure out what they were going to do. Purely accidental part? One of the young ladies in the party, the player, was an orphan and had lost her adopted father recently. I had no idea. Brought the session to a screeching halt, almost ended the campaign, and strained some friendships. In the long term, it turned into an amazing campaign, and this village became a reoccurring location in numerous campaigns. Hey, in the comments below, if you're listening in, let us know how you resolved the situation. Best resolutions in a D&D game. We need to know these things because somebody else out there might need to know. Mild spoilers for Curse of Strahd. Spoiler warning, Curse of Strahd. Okay, good. TLDR, tricked my players into murdering their friends. That's a typical Curse of Strahd campaign if I ever did hear it. This was towards the end of Curse of Strahd. The party is powerful and has some seriously strong magic items, so Strahd decides it's time to break them. At the same time, Strahd is trying to manipulate Irina Kolyana into marrying him willingly, as he believes that is the key to breaking his curse and being with her forever. He accomplished both in one bada-boom fell swoop. With the Irina side of things, Strahd would use the dream spell to send her visions of her past lives, all the collective pain and suffering and heartbreak she'd gone through, not showing his involvement in said misery, of course, to get her emotionally vulnerable over the course of in-game weeks. Then, on the party's side, Strahd appeared to them under the guide of wanting to take their most powerful items, threatening dire consequences if they refused. Of course, the party refused and attacked Strahd. Strahd put up a token effort before warning them that the lives of the people in the town of Valakai, where most of their allies including Irina live, are now forfeit and retreated. In a panic, the party rushes to Valakai, but no one can outrun Strahd in Barovia. He gets there first, but he doesn't kill anyone. Instead, he spends hours using his hypnotic gaze on as many villagers as he can. He convinces the villagers that the party is their enemy, and they must be destroyed. Then, just before the party arrives, Strahd gathers up all the charmed villagers and casts the spell Seeming on them all, making them look like zombified versions of themselves. So the party arrives in town, where they are immediately attacked by the undead wink-wink villagers, and assume that Strahd has killed them all. Naturally, they get to work exterminating them. Once every zombie lay dead, Strahd ended the Seeming spell, revealing to the party the horror of what they'd done. Among the dead was the noble player character's retainer, whom he'd known his whole life. It was dramatic, and it was horrible, but Strahd wasn't done yet. Using his hypnosis once again, he had kept Irina away from the slaughter and arranged for her to arrive on the scene right after the Seeming spell dropped, so that she would witness the party, her most trusted friends, standing amongst the slaughtered bodies of her family and friends. This, combined with the visions of how horrible her past lives were, breaks her. She runs from the party, and that's when Strahd makes his final play. He appears before Irina, puts a wall of force between her and the party so that all they can do is watch, and he proposes to her that she can be free of the misery she was doomed to experience lifetime after lifetime. If she becomes a vampire, she will lose all sympathy and emotions for other humans. Nothing will be able to hurt her ever again. In her desperate state of mind, Irina agrees, and Strahd takes her to Castle Ravenloft in triumph. Strahd won. It was a deeply messed up situation, but my players loved it. Everything that happened was well within the rules, and Strahd's stat block, assuming you allow him to prep different spells each day, and there was plenty of hints that something wasn't right. What with how less dangerous the zombies were than normal zombies and all, leading them to feel like they should have seen this coming. And it led to some role-playing moments that were so moving I genuinely shed a tear. Of course, Strahd's victory didn't last long. The party went on to crash his wedding, steal back Irina, using Seeming to do it fittingly enough, and stake the vile vampire once and for all. That final blow was all the more satisfying after all he put them through. Brian Von VA here. We had some amazing stories, and if you want to hear more like this, leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and come back every single day to find something brand new on our channel, or to just go through the list and have a little listen while you're studying, reading, walking through the park, anything. We love you all. Please be safe, happy, and healthy. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.